Welcome to the Future Strong podcast. We try to cut through the noise, get right to what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today, we're going to explore something, well, maybe a bit unexpected when you think about top-level success. We're talking about loneliness.
Mm-hmm. And we're diving into some really insightful stuff here, specifically an essay on this topic by Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb.
Right. So our goal today really is to unpack his personal story. Go beyond the surface-level ideas about success.
Exactly. What does his experience tell us about maybe a wider issue in society? It's something that's often kind of hidden. You might find it hits closer to home than you think.
Okay, so let's start with something Chesky noticed early on as CEO, this kind of paradox of leadership.
Oh, yeah, that part was striking.
He said, the higher you get to the peak, the fewer people there are with you. And he admits, no one ever told me how lonely you would get. I wasn't prepared for that. He even talks about feeling this guilt, almost, if he wasn't working. He thought success automatically meant you'd be, I don't know, surrounded by people, loved.
It really turns the usual idea of success on its head, doesn't it?
Right.
We sort of picture the top as this place with tons of support, connection.
Right.
But he described it as, well, pretty isolating. And it makes you wonder, are we really preparing leaders for the emotional side of things, the weight of it all?
And that really comes through when he talks about the Airbnb IPO day. This huge moment.
The $100 billion validation, as he put it.
Exactly. He felt this amazing exhilaration, like he'd finally reached the summit, gone to the mountain.
Yeah, the peak moment.
But then, the very next day, he says, I woke up the next day and my life was exactly the same.
Wow.
Still alone, waking up, jumping onto his iMac for 10 to 12 hours of Zoom calls. Mm-hmm. His life was his work. No real separation.
That's such a stark anticlimax, isn't it? It just highlights this massive gap between, the public perception of success and what's actually going on personally.
Yeah.
All that external validation, the IPO buzz, it didn't change his day-to-day reality or how he felt inside. It makes you think, how often do we chase these big goals? Only to get there and find it's not quite what we expected. External markers just don't always translate to feeling good internally.
So how did he start to put a name to what he was feeling?
Yeah.
He had this key realization, right? He said, I didn't know at the time that I was lonely. I knew I was isolated, but I didn't know that also meant loneliness. He couldn't really get his head around feeling that way when there were people around him.
That distinction is so important, I think, between isolation and loneliness.
Yeah, explain that a bit.
Well, isolation is more physical, being separate. But loneliness, that's emotional, right? It's feeling like you lack that deep, meaningful connection, even if you're in a room full of people.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he mentions a couple people, doesn't name them, who helped him see this, helped him realize what was going on personally and professionally, just by creating space for, honest conversation.
And this is where his personal story kind of connects to something much bigger. He talks about this really impactful conversation he had.
With the Surgeon General, right? Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Yes, Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Yeah.
It was during the pandemic, and they were talking about, germs and Airbnb safety, that kind of thing.
Understandable context for the time.
And Dr. Murthy just asks him straight up, Brian, do you know what the #1 killer in America is? Chesky guesses, heart disease, cancer, the usual suspects.
Yeah, the things we typically think of.
And Dr. Murthy says, no, the #1 killer in America is loneliness.
That just lands with such weight, doesn't it? It takes Chesky's very personal feeling and suddenly frames it as a major public health crisis.
Exactly.
It's saying loneliness isn't just, feeling a bit down. It's a serious chronic condition with real severe health outcomes.
Yeah.
Comparable to major physical diseases.
Right. It shifts it from just being an individual problem to something society-wide that we need to take as seriously as, say, smoking or obesity.
Precise.
So I guess the main point to take away from all this is that loneliness isn't just something individuals feel in isolation, pardon the pun. It's this deep, often unseen issue that can hit anyone. Doesn't matter how successful you seem on the outside or how many people you technically know.
Absolutely. It cuts across everything. Professional success, social circles. It doesn't immunize you.
So that leaves us with a pretty big thought, doesn't it?
It really does. If Dr. Murthy is right, if loneliness is the #1 killer, what does that actually mean for how we think about health, about success, about community?
Yeah.
Oh.
How should we be building our lives, our connections differently? Maybe even how society itself needs to change to sort of foster those bonds we clearly need.
Definitely something to reflect on. How do we build that genuine connection in our own lives, knowing how vital it really is?